Newsmaker line. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Todd.
Daniel, I want you to tell our listeners what you and your family experienced in what was once a very prosperous nation of Venezuela.
For sure. Yeah. Well, when I lived in Venezuela, and that was less than 3 years ago, I had to do basically very, very long lines in supermarkets that it's just unbelievable for a country like Venezuela, who had the largest reserves of oil in the world. Now we even have gasoline shortages, so we even had to make line in gasoline stations just to put on gas in our car. We were lucky, though. As I said in my article, I waited 1 hour. I know people who had to wait whole days, Todd, to buy the things they needed.
Now, Daniel, tell our listeners how old you are.
Right now, I am 20, and I go to IUPUI, that is in Indianapolis, and I'm studying economics.
All right. So, and your whole family is here in the United States. Is that right?
Unfortunately, no. My parents left, and it was a year later than I did. They left in 2017, and they're now living in Spain because that's where we have family from my grandparents.
So you're 20 years old. Your parents, what did they tell you about what life used to be like in Venezuela?
Oh, yes, they did that all the time. In fact, when they were, adults back in the 90s, in the 80s, they could buy everything. Venezuela was a country comparable in its supermarkets, in its daily life to the United States, or one of the richest countries in Latin America. We really had no problem purchasing food. People were not starving at all. Of course, it was a country with problems, just like any other Latin American country today, but a country where people could get ahead and get out of poverty.
You go on to write in your story that there were blackouts. You guys didn't even have water at some time.
Yeah, water was the worst, actually. There were weeks sometimes where I didn't have water for weeks long, so we had to collect water from the rain, Todd, so that we could drink and that we could shower. We had to collect water from the rain. We had to, work with our neighbors to ration water, the little we had in our neighborhood, and that's how we survived. That's why my parents had to leave, because it was just unbearable, and right now it's getting even worse.
What are you hearing from people that are still there in Venezuela?
Yeah, I'm hearing that they're hopeful thanks to the new Democratic interim president, Juan Guaido, but at the same time they're desperate for quick action because what's going on is a humanitarian crisis. What we're seeing is that there are hundreds of thousands of children who are at risk of death within the next few months just because of preventable diseases and starvation.
And yet here you are in America, you're 20 years old, you're a college student, and you are hearing people like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about the glories of socialism and wanting to impose a 70% tax on the wealthy in America. What are you thinking when you hear American lawmakers glorifying socialism?
It is really unforgivable. And Todd, let me tell you something. When I decided to come to the United States, first because my university blessed me with a scholarship that paid me to be here, but I chose the United States over any other country because I thought that the United States was a country that had no risk of ever becoming a socialist nightmare like Venezuela. I think Europe has a lot more problems in that aspect than the U.S. And now that I'm here and I see these Congress members such as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and many others who are supporting the policies that destroyed Venezuela, I'm really astonished. And that's why I'm speaking out. And I wrote that up, and I come to your show, and I'm going to TV because we really need to stop them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and honestly, we can talk about how bad it is all day long. But Daniel, you lived it and you escaped it, and so honestly, your voice matters more to me on this radio program.
Thank you for having me. I tell this to your listeners. They obviously agree with me, and they agree with you that socialism is terrible, and they want to stop it in the U.S. So if they want to do it, they need to talk to their friends. They need to talk to their family and tell them, there's all these people from all these other countries in the world that there's people that have reached out to me, Todd, after my interviews that tell me, I'm from the USSR, I'm from Cuba, I'm from Poland when it was communist, from China, and we need to continue fighting against socialism. And the only way to do it is to spread the word.
You write in your
everybody's equal, where everything is just, and where nobody has to go through hardship. In their worldview, if someone is rich, it's because they took away from the poor. They don't understand that one becomes rich because one creates jobs and one creates wealth for everybody. So we need to, the only fight and the only way to stop these policies that destroy the Venezuelan economy and that would destroy the U.S. economy is to continue giving freedom to people in the U.S. so the economy never goes wrong and these people never have a chance to put the seeds of resentment, of envy that socialism is.
Now, Daniel, you are here in America. Tell me about the rest of your family. You said your parents are in Spain.
That's right. The rest of my family is mostly in Spain, yes, because my grandparents, in fact, they immigrated to Venezuela from Spain from my mom's side and from Italy from my dad's side in the 1950s. That was the golden times for Venezuela. People came from everywhere around the world with nothing, such as my grandparents. They started cleaning houses and working in parking garages, and they ended up having their own businesses, companies, their own homes. It was the American dream in Venezuela in the 1950s through the 70s and 90s. And then when these policies of nationalization and hyperinflation started to be implemented, it forced people like my grandparents, who were immigrants in Venezuela, to return to their home countries.
And they lost everything in Venezuela.
They did. That's something that really, a lot of people are traumatized. My parents are very sad. I don't think that's something people will ever overcome. I was lucky that I left young, but I still have many, many friends there, and I keep in touch every day because I want to know from firsthand what keeps going on in Venezuela.
All right, Daniel. It sounds to me like you are a bright young man.